Okay, now you're.
Or you're choppy as fuck, Brie. I apologize for saying it rudely.
You're like a movie in school that starts to do. A little.
The live stream's still in the intro. The live stream's still in the intro.
Could that be eating it up?
It's because, do you know what you need to do, Brie? You need to just run it through StreamYards instead of using OBS. OBS is killing your computer.
Okay.
That hasn't even been said. Nobody's seen it.
You said it to us, which is still fine. I mean,
I'm going to type it in the chat.
We're still everybody.
No. Oh. Yeah. You're going to have to schedule another stream if you're doing it straight through StreamYard. Or I'll just let my computer run. Right. You've got the StreamYard. Do me a favor, Brie. Don't end the stream or anything. Just go to your YouTube studio and give me the stream key for this Hangout.
You would have to talk me through so much of what you just said.
Just give me the stream key for this Hangout from YouTube Studio.
Peter gets so frustrated because he says, well, if you just do this, you can solve that. I know nothing about doing any of what you just said. I'll talk you through it. And then he gets so mad because it takes...
Yeah, you're grand.
It should take 3 minutes. It takes 33 minutes because I'm an idiot.
No. As long as Brie is in charge of the StreamYards, then Brie can run the whole thing. Like,
yeah, if you want to talk to me about 1990s
time.
Yeah, wasn't this all about you gaining control in the first place?
I gained control. Sorry, I was
He's a
still
control
running
freak.
from my muted
What do you
stream.
want?
Now,
What you
Bree.
missed while you were away was me going patriarchy.
Purple rhymes with orange.
He couldn't stop talking about him taking over control, could he?
Can we be heard now? Can we be heard?
Yes.
All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. That was a 20-minute technical issue that I hope you all enjoyed watching us work through it. That's about how many times have we done that, Robbie?
But it's because you do. Poor Bree has a new laptop before they get their other computer, and the poor laptop just cannot handle OBS.
Yes, it's a wonderful laptop for me doing solo stuff, and the person who gave it to me is an absolute freaking angel for providing this. Because since June, I've been coming at you live from the Hive on this laptop, and I've been using StreamYard for it because of this computing power issue, which is not a permanent problem. I'll have my computer soon. Got new internet connection. This was also the first test of me being the host with the Ethernet. It just wasn't enough on this computer, unfortunately. But I'm so glad everybody stuck around because we're about to have some fun. We got Artie here, and we got Robbie, and we got Richard, and we are going to continue what we were talking about over there on MathPig Stream. You all do that weekly, right? On Tuesdays?
Yeah,
Go ahead and plug it.
Me and Richard every Tuesdays talking now for 4 years and taking turns. Different scriptures, Epic of Gilgamesh, David and Goliath, Book of Enoch, and now we're on the Book of Revelations. So we're doing that every Tuesday.
Yeah. That's,
and maybe soon to come, the Epic of Ramayana.
Yes. You mentioned that earlier, and that sounds quite interesting. Because we do, according to Richard's theory, according to Richard's hypothesis, according to Richard's religion, according to Richard's demolished doctrine, what's going on inside his head, all old scriptures are the same.
So Richard was watching my intro to my channel, and that'll be back when I get my computer too, trying to name everybody who saw you're on there, Richard. You just got to find yourself.
Don't we all need to find ourselves?
Yeah, there you go. There's people that are obvious, and then people that are kind of hidden. So I tried to mix it up a little bit. Always something new to see when you watch it. But I enjoy watching. Actually, I was introduced to Richard, and to a lesser extent to Robbie by watching you guys do the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's where I came into it. I missed what you all done before the Epic of Gilgamesh. So when I came into it, we were knee deep in Enkidu.
Oh, so you got like I have to say now, we did do the first 3 series in succession. We didn't do them straight after each other without a break or whatever, but 3 years, we did a series a year. It maybe would take 9 months and would take a wee break. Mm-hmm. But after 3 years, probably solid talking to Richard, I think Richard was a wee bit frustrated with the community, and as a personification of that, when we would talk, we would be very honest with each other. And when it came to the end of the Epic of Gilgamesh, there was about 7 Jesuses in the story, and I maybe have lost the map a wee bit, and we had to take a break for, I think, 18 months, Richard, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So let me kind of introduce, because I don't know if everybody in my audience knows Richard or not. I tease about the Madsenism. That's not actually what he claims. He's like, I'm starting my own religion or anything. He just has his own ideas about how these ancient texts relate to each other and kind of build and tell a different story than what you might get from a plain reading. And he has some extraterrestrial ideas linked in with this, which you all know I love. So I love hanging out with Robbie and Richard and listening to.
What about Artie? Don't forget about Artie.
Well, this is actually me and Artie haven't actually hung out that much. I've seen.
This is like the 3rd time.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad Artie's here because it's nice to have somebody else to question these two who are so back and forth about this topic all the time, having some new blood in the conversation.
Between the mumbling and the space Jews.
Yeah. The space Jews. You wanna elaborate on that a little bit?
Jews in space.
So
That's what I had going through my head when I typed it out.
yeah,
Muppets group.
yes, pigs in space.
Pig talk. That's what we're going with. It's going to be pig talk.
We appreciate your enthusiasm.
Yeah, so let's explore that a little bit. So we were talking over there in Robbie's stream as they wrapped up about the Ark, Noah's Ark. I guess it would be is so. Before we get too far into it, would you say that Noah is one of the Jesusai or Jesuses, or is he a different character in this cycle that you present?
Nephilim.
So I think universally these ancient religions are describing the circle of life. That's one way to say it. Another way to say it would be multiple Earths. So we are an occurrence of human being on an Earth. That's the right way to look at it as far as I can understand. In the natural order of like becoming an adult, you also become a parent. Okay. So say you started anywhere and you say, well, Jesus does his job, right? And then he ascends, and then he does the same thing in the circle of life. He does what the Father did before him. He gets to terraform a planet, right? And that will be his heaven being his son's heaven, his son, and then his son's heaven being filled, and he'll become a father, and it'll happen again. Repeat your question. That was like all background information.
Yeah, that's kind of laying the groundwork. So I guess what we were talking about is the idea that the different species, and not including humans though, they're separate, right? So I
don't know if that's your question yet. I can't say.
So collected and put on this, collected to terraform these planets, and you were talking about that they seed these planets with animals, with different species of animals, and we talked about how this was chronologically had to be in a certain specific way, but the animals that we have on this Earth are not the original, and they didn't evolve here. That there was an original Earth that animals that we have initially evolved on in a certain specific order to make the planet habitable for humans.
Right.
And,
very odd against Christians. It's not that Satan invented the bones and planted them here. It's just that Satan has all the bones. That the entire evolutionary process and permineralization and fossilization of every kind of animal does exist on the original planet. But you don't need everything for terraforming. So they didn't even steal everything and bring everything here, which is why we have these weird samplings that don't look very random. And you called them ghost fossils?
Like ghost lineages.
Anyone else hear the echo, or is it just me? Now, I've been muted for a while, but the echo is still there. Bree, have you headphones in?
No, I don't. It's probably me.
Not sure it's coming from you.
It's not coming here, and you both are wearing headphones.
Yeah, we weren't talking, so it has to be one of the two of you. One of you bastards has fucked this up.
It's me. No, it's always me. It's my my crazy setup here. Just kind of cobbled.
It's not that bad anyway. It's ignorable. Yeah, I can't stand my own voice, and I can keep going. I'm okay.
It's like speaking in an empty, relatively large living room.
No one's able to process anything you say ever, Artemis. I'm just telling you. So
it's about like that.
You are muted now, Bree.
I said I'm gonna go grab some headphones. I'll be right back. Go ahead and
Okay,
continue
cool.
on.
Okay, so background information. A Darwinistic like process. We don't know exactly what it was. We're working on that, including the new neo and synthetic gene trading between simple life forms, viruses and all that, happened on some Earth-like planet somewhere at some distant time in the past. Okay, and probably at the scientific estimate time spans, it would have to be like that long ago, like seriously. But then there's things about this planet that say it can't have happened here, but it did happen, obviously, because we're here. So you can't say something like we could ever find, we've never found, an ancient atmosphere for this planet that would have allowed for abiogenesis. But all this stuff's here, so abiogenesis definitely did happen. I think the solution to that is, yes, it happened in an ancient atmosphere of a planet, not this one. So an evolutionary process happened, resulting in eventually very technologically evolved animals. And they started realizing that they could have servant animals, like we have cattle and horses and stuff now. And they got to the point where they could start genetically modifying animals, and they started messing with a few different ones to see which ones would work out best. So they could have a really good worker that's not a machine that you have to fix, a self-replicating, self-feeding, self-caring for slave class, which is why the stories are so big against slavery, because we were those slaves. And those slaves were all the Homo erectus that are not Homo sapiens sapien, quote unquote caveman. That whole series, they totally just made that. And in the biblical stories, those are the Hebrew slaves. And then there's this story of Moses, where Moses is very different. So different that mom loves him because it's mom. But dad freaks out when the baby comes out and like leaves the room. And if I take the story for what it actually says, it says there's only males born. And then the males get to be like 2 years old or something. You can tell how smart a baby is by the time they're about 2. And there's a prophecy with that birthing cycle that one of them's going to take over. What I think that means is the scientists of the area said, we screwed up, guy in charge, i.e. Pharaoh, i.e. Satan. We screwed up. These things are too smart. You don't want them.
That's where your thing falls apart right there, right?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Why not start with slave trees?
Right. That would work out okay. But what's the objection, Break, for real?
Oh, just that humans are smart.
Oh,
we are.
Well,
we are
okay.
not-
I'm not saying we're
Evolution-based
smart.
plants that aren't ambulatory, but that's.
I
Like,
mean,
you take advantage of the great apes because they have these opposable thumbs and they can do lots of interesting stuff with them. That's great, okay? But if you make an ape too freaking smart, it's going to like object to being a slave. It's going to realize it's a slave, it's a pet, and it's going to go, wait a minute, this is wrong, and it's going to object.
I don't know if we would conflate pets and slaves, though. I mean, I think that
I do.
a pet
I
is
really
a
like animals.
I think it's a consensual relationship, right? It's not.
It could be.
At least with like dogs and cats and stuff.
Well, what about a guard dog? Is that a pet or is that a slave?
That's a work animal, though. That's a different situation. It's not a pet.
So that is a slave.
If a work animal could be a slave, yeah.
Fair enough.
But
We found a happy medium ground there.
And that's based upon the assumption that the dog is capable of thinking about being something other than what it is in that situation.
So if instead you want,
it's in a hierarchy. It's getting fed. Its instincts for survival are being met. So,
right.
Is that
Right.
now still a captive animal in a real sense, or is it just a dog?
Well, that's like with the
that's
spiders
going to
and
be a
stuff.
huge side tangent. I think we could talk about that all day.
Yeah, I absolutely love that.
Well, it's like a certain. I'm sure there's a place of cognition where you can draw the line. It's just trying to figure out where that would be as a conversation in and of itself. I don't think that keeping my spiders in captivity, they don't care. They don't know they're in captivity. They just know that they built their web, and every now and then there's a cricket or a roach that falls in there, and that's all they care about. So,
That's yummy.
higher thinking animals might
God will provide. That's the thing.
Or need enrichment. So
that just drops the food in.
And that was always my thing about. So when you're talking about the Ark, right, and you're saying that this is the spaceship, okay? So are these animals in like a stasis on the Ark? Are they
living, reproducing,
whole adult animals on? And it's not in the ocean though. It's in space.
It's not actually talking about H2O at all ever. Like that's not even interesting.
So.
The only time they mention H2O is like, I'm going to go water the animals now. Okay, that's H2O.
So when they talk about the waters above, your interpretation is not that it's about water.
So who's the waters above?
Who?
That are in and throughout.
What in the scripture makes you think it's a who? It's
necessarily a who. When it says these waters that you have seen are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues, like sentient things.
Or it could be describing how a river travels through villages and towns, and
that wouldn't make sense because now you're claiming that the river does have nations and tongues. Wait, do rivers have tongues? Do rivers have tongues or not?
Yes.
That's silly.
Well, could tongue be
okay? What about the word peoples? How do you make a river peoples and still keep it as H2O?
It's describing the path of a river traveling
going through the nations. Okay.
Villages, but that doesn't. That's not describing the river. That's describing the path of the river. That's another topic.
Well, it's describing the life of the river.
Okay, if you want to get all American Indian on me, we'll try to adjust.
Oh,
but
I'm not saying it's alive. I'm saying it's describing what the river does.
It brings prosperity.
These things together. They're all connected because of the one thing. That's what that's describing.
And you could make a case that nations at the time were on rivers and on. I mean, any nation had to be the cities and stuff had to be near a water source, right?
Right. That's why waters is, and aside from that, we act very much like waters. So a water is a good analogy for a large group of people.
In what other works are you citing where water has been used that way? Is it specifically to this? In Gilgamesh, they refer to the people as waters.
No, I believe when he's over the waters looking for the source of eternal life, the fountain of youth and all that, it's talking about a mass of people and genetic survey and stuff like that. It's not, I don't think it's talking about crossing an impassable lake. That's not the idea there. Like that's not even significant or interesting. I crossed a lake.
I'm a little concerned about your desire for things to be interesting.
Okay,
that's just it's not a criticism. It's just the thing that
Well, let's think about it for a second.
I have. I waited whole minutes before I made that comment.
If it has value, then it's going to be significant, right? If it's insignificant, it doesn't have any value.
Established that it has value. Just because it has value doesn't mean it has intrinsic value.
So there's a pattern that you're looking for here, right? And is that what you mean by interesting? It has to hit these nails on the head, because you say so, but you do like look for correlations between.
No, I was given a reading frame. I was given a reading frame that I hold because it continues to work. I don't need to look for correlations. The reading frame causes the correlations. I just keep applying it.
How did the frame start without correlations?
What?
How did the frame start without any correlation?
No, it already had intrinsic within itself correlations. I was just introduced to the reading frame.
And what is the
I
reading
don't have
frame?
to make the correlations. The reading frame necessitates the correlations. And as long as that continues to work, I think it's right.
So when you interpret the correlations yourself, or you're saying that the books that they actually have correlation built into them?
I believe they have purposeful correlation built into them, having a single mindset, trying to express a total singular thing.
And which volumes are included in this reading frame? You get the Bible.
It's easier to say what's excluded. John Smith totally made up a bunch of crap for Mormonism. The Jehovah's Witnesses totally like threw a bunch of stuff on top of it that they believe is true. But all these ancient religions, the reason that you can have like comparative religion, although it falls short of the goal of actually like seeing that they're the same thing, is because there is this overarching, say, I think it's about 20 basic stories that are always expressed through all the religions. Now, what people threw on top of it, I don't really care.
So, okay, so you got your Abrahamic religions, right? That you've talked ad nauseum about those. You've got your Epic of Gilgamesh, that's included in there. Is that the limit of what you're sure of? I know that you'll hear a lot of people say, "Oh, there's this flood myth and all these different cultures," and if you look into it, it's like a little bit different.
But it's not just the flood myth; it's all of it. It's like the Book of the Dead is obviously describing a singular hero who saves the people, and that's Egyptian. Or you could go to like the story of Thor, where Thor's dad is not Odin. No, Woden is like the wisdom and the overarching thing that is God. It's actually Woden's cousin or brother, which means basically the same thing, who is the dad of Thor. So it's the last one who did it. In fact, he's the one who gets to run Ragnarok. That is, the father conducts end times. It's just the same story so many times. I mean, it's almost boring.
You ain't lying.
So,
like, his name's Ragnar, and Ragnarok is the event of Ragnar.
Is that real? The real?
Well,
is that
so? It's Fraggle Rock.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Would somebody here, either Artie, Richard, or Bree, please post the StreamYard's link in the private chat? Me copying and pasting so much at the minute, anything I do. Thank you.
I'm just gonna say no out of principle because
Peace and respect, Pomo, Dorino, and Godseed, and John Hudson, and Snake is Right Taylor, whom I recognize.
Yeah. So I had a question. So is that the actual is that what you understand to be the actual etymology that we understand for those words in like Norse languages? Are they actually linked like that, or is that some inference?
No, I looked them up.
Made? And
like,
they have
if you look at the layout chart of the family that is the gods of Norse mythology, it's laid out the same as the Bible.
Like there's genealogy showing who's related, who begat who.
I gotta get these fucking posters. I had no idea these things existed.
Right on.
The genealogies.
Yeah, of the religions. Fuck yeah.
Now in America, you'd assume that that Woden is the dad of Thor. That's wrong. That's not what the religion says.
Well, on behalf of Americans, I make no such assumption.
Good for you. But that's how you see it in movies and stuff, you know.
Well, I mean,
I don't see those movies.
Like if you're talking about like in the Marvel universe or something like that, then yeah, that's the way it's depicted. And that's who most people think of when they think of the Norse myths, and I mean, at least in America, that's what all of us.
There's some other things that are a little off kilter involved with that universe, though. I mean, it's not exactly famous for.
Oh, there's plenty, but they're making movies and money. They're not trying to be accurate.
I'm just hoping we're not using those to teach mythology to high school kids.
Well, you're inadvertently doing it by them watching the movies. They think, oh, that's probably right. No, it's
no,
not.
I understand that, but the I almost said Thunderbirds.
Thunderbirds are goat.
Thornbirds is also based upon a Bible story. I can't off the top of my head remember which one, but I mean that was an important thing in 1974.
Oh.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of media that's going to be based off of like biblical stories and things like that. Though, I mean, there's it's not a. I didn't like you mentioned the origins of the Mormon Church, for instance, as being something that you think was just made up whole cloth. There's a lot deeper of what.
That's not true. I said he threw a bunch of crap on top of it.
Okay, so he built upon the mythology. People get so offended when I call it mythology, but that's what the Bible and stuff is to me. And I'm not. I don't mean that as an insult. I like mythology. We're just sitting here talking about Thor a minute ago. It's all fun and.
I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm just trying to be honest.
Yeah, that's I can still enjoy the stories. There's some stories in the Bible that I think are freaking wicked. I like when they get like David and Goliath and that kind of story. Even though I think in the long terms, if you look at it, King David is kind of like the worst person in the whole freaking book. But so
Shakespeare made me an atheist. I just need to blurt that out with no context. Shakespeare made me an atheist.
So Richard, when it comes to stories in the Bible, like David and Goliath, for instance, do you believe that that's allegorical then, or do you believe that those were historical figures?
Okay, that's a great, yes, that's necessary. Thank you for that. Okay. I think we were told fairy tales in societally acceptable ways, according to that society, but the fairy tale gets flipped over and understood. The moral of the story gets understood by a series of events that cause us to change our mind as to how to look at the stories. So, for instance, David and Goliath, which I believe is also the story of Zeus, Hermes, Zeus, Hermes, or Apollo, or whoever, I get the names confused, and Agnes, or I'm sorry, Anges, which means light, and he becomes the light of Zeus's lightning bolts, meaning your brain gets enlightened by the event. Is the same as David and Goliath, talking about the ignition of Jupiter and us being in a binary solar system. And all the rest of the stuff would just naturally, all the rest of the stuff attached to the story would naturally happen because of the ignition of Jupiter. Go ahead.
You're going to have to elaborate on what you mean by the ignition of Jupiter.
Okay, Jupiter in no way by accident, it would be extremely unlikely that the brown dwarf star Jupiter, the fifth planet out,
Jupiter is not a brown dwarf star.
It's a Hindu planet.
There's arguments both directions. It's a
gas giant. It's not a star. Jupiter is not classified as a star.
Yes, I know it's an unrealized star.
It's a brown out star.
It's a brown out. Wait, what am I agreeing to? So that would be natural. It wouldn't happen naturally. Okay, like it would need. What is it? It would need to be somewhere between 79 and 81 times its present size to self-ignite. It would need 30 Earths to simultaneously impact it at around 200,000 miles an hour.
It would need for there to not be another thing that size that was collecting mass faster than it.
Yeah, it was too close to the sun to be realized, I guess, is what you're saying. But that's the same for any of the gas giants, right? They would all burn. They would all ignited and burnt up.
They're different chemical. They're different chemical combinations. Only Jupiter is huge amounts of hydrogen.
It's a bunch in the sun, I think.
I think
it's
Bree's
not
frozen.
making it.
Bree is frozen.
No.
I'm not.
She's just shocked. She's just in shock.
My headphones did cut out. I'm just listening to what you guys are saying
See
here.
what happens
Okay, so
when you stand that.
let me give you an example of this. If we were in a binary solar system where instead of the stars rotate in the middle of the solar system chasing themselves, like most binary solar systems, if instead, and some are like this, you have a big central star and a far out and planets in between those two stars and one circling the other. I don't know if my camera's reversed or not. Because of that, and you were in between those two light sources, you would see certain things. And it would just be naturally occurring that you see things like the shadow on the moon would be changed. I don't need to explain why. It would obviously be changed.
Would make sense.
I don't agree with that. That's not going to change. I don't think that's going to change. Sorry. It's not.
Well, no,
flat Earth's not going to
same
start
time.
making
It
sense.
totally makes sense.
No, I don't think so.
Infinite plane, Richard.
And
Yeah.
fine. And we'll talk about B theory of time next. But
oh, yay.
so if you had the, say for instance, our moon from our perspective, right, on the Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got our moon, but you got two light sources, right? So it's a spherical shaped thing. It's not a disk. And two light sources on a sphere causes two hemispheres to appear, especially if the dark background is dark, right? But the funny thing about a sphere is the light can't hit all of it when they're at 180 degrees. There's a shadow that would go north-south, and the moon is split in two. That's really what it would look like. It looked like the moon is split in two, but you recognize that from Islam.
You ever seen a? I don't know your history. Have you ever spent any time in the desert?
A little bit. 3 NTC rotations in the U.S. Army.
Okay, during any of that, did you spend any time just being real high and staring at the moon, or just noticing that?
Oh yeah, I'm going to sit here and admit I was high while I was active service. Sure.
Yeah, well, I didn't know you weren't in the Air Force. Sue me.
Great response.
I love it. But you can see, there's like, for those of you who aren't familiar, the stars you can see in the desert are way more than any planetarium can afford to provide. It's just the profusion of light, and it uninterrupted in most cases, given how far you are away from much. But there's no fucking moisture in the air, so light doesn't travel very far. At any rate, you can see when it's a half moon that there are things behind the moon being blocked.
Yep.
That even when it's
an absence of stars.
Even when it's a half moon, it's not that half a sphere has turned and you're just looking at the one. You're not looking at one of these.
Right.
The other half is obviously blocking light sources on the other side of it.
True story.
Which is why I'm so fucking baffled by the observations of most people that ascribe to the flat Earth theory.
Maybe they've never been to the desert. Come on, man.
But still, I mean, does every photograph have to be fake?
Yes,
how
they
many
make some
images
sense.
can be preloaded into a telescope?
Yeah, it's problematic. I agree. Yeah. The whole flat Earth thing, kind of problematic.
Did that satellite just go up?
Maps make it
Did that satellite just? Oh no, that's fine. Just wondering where that satellite went.
So, have you ever presented your ideas to a flat earther, Richard?
I've attempted, of course, because I want people to be well adjusted to the actuality. I think I'm well adjusted to the actuality. I wish they'd consider what I'm saying, because I'm happy and I want others to be happy. And call that a tribalism thing or humanitarian thing. That's fine. I don't care. But the reason I'm happy is because I've accepted these things as true, and they make my life work better. Like, stuff works out better because of this.
Would you be any way a proponent of the idea that if you think happy thoughts and you think here, and I don't just mean to be cliche when I think that, but the sort of mindset, then why worry about what you need to worry about? The stoicism of it. The idea that I don't think if you crig your toe, so to speak, you're going to worry that much. I don't think if you drive a vehicle, you have a bicycle. If your bicycle wheel busted, you wouldn't break down and cry. You'd just be like, I need to go buy a new bike wheel. That's a mindset that I think that's come upon you, Richard, from your lifestyle of the military, living on the street and things like that. Why worry about the small things? I don't necessarily think that that's because of your religion, even though it ties in with it.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, you're completely right, but that's not what I'm talking about at all.
Okay, I go back to being the International Space Station.
Yeah, I think you're both right. I just want you to know that as a friend.
I do like the space station.
It does look good. It gives me something else to stare at.
It's really funny
plane.
the way that this is just a random video I found, but it is totally making me the International Space Station for this little. It'll change in a couple of minutes. It's like 10 hours long, so I can't see it being 10 hours of this. But
there's the curvature in the story right there.
It's Star Wars. Star Wars.
I typed in flat Earth graphic to see if I could troll the flat Earth, and the longest one I got was 12 minutes, and I was like, fuck that shit, just give me 10 to 15 hours of actual real footage of the round globe Earth.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've laid in bed at night thinking, I wish I had 15 or 18 hours of.
Just looking at the underside of clouds, you can see the curvature of the planet. You don't need anything fancy.
Yeah, you don't need to be that fucking high. Well, you might.
Well, I get pretty high. I have to be high to deal with flat earthers.
Yeah, you might be. Yeah, trust me. I made like 7 videos about shit like that pissed me off because people had those opinions. And
you tagged me in some crazy woman video the other day. What were you doing with that mad thing, Artie?
Wait a second. You know, Ogre is so Ogre, Jay is so polite. He'll never talk unless you give him space.
I am super polite. It's true.
Well, we're glad you joined us. Yeah.
How did you find this community then if you're super polite? What the fuck?
What were you thinking?
We accept him. He doesn't fit in very well.
I love that. We accept you. You don't fit in, but we accept you. I love the way the irony of Richard saying that. Like, you don't fit in. I do, but you don't.
So
me and Orge were also part of a Bigfoot community there for a minute. I haven't seen you over there in a while though.
Yeah, I know. Life's just been busy for me. I got a bunch of adjuncting I'm doing this semester, so I'm like tag teaming you guys and a bunch of classes simultaneously right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for the privilege
of any the rest of you guys feeling that?
I don't know if it's a privilege, but you're welcome.
Do you have any thoughts about Jupiter?
I'm unfamiliar with Jupiter being a star, but maybe Richard's seen something I haven't. So,
would you agree that you have heard of it being a field star or being referred to as a field star?
It's pretty popular.
I could believe it, but I don't know how relevant that is. I mean, I guess I showed up a bit late, so I don't know the
context of why we're talking about.
Yeah, basically we're talking about universal failures.
Wizards always show up on time.
A wizard is never late. They arrive exactly when they mean to.
Yeah, oh, okay. Right. I'm glad I missed so much.
Yeah.
You're the wizard. That's all right. The stream didn't start until just now, till you got here. We were just waiting for you to show up.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. Thanks for coming to the Hive Live.
Yeah. Now that Orge is here, we can finally start. And Gert hasn't even showed up at all yet.
It's flattering to be here. I'd like to thank you for making me a part of it.
I'm glad you're here too, Artie, helping me interrogate Richard and put his feet up to the fire.
I am all about the deed.
In saying that, I do feel that I would be, much as I would love Richard, I do. Oh, look at what the fuck I've become now. It is quite lighthearted. Cool. There has been episodes where me and Richard have, I wouldn't say at each other's throats, but it's come to the point where it's like tool time, with Tim Allen, and that guy became the Thunderdome with hammers. You know, there was screaming.
Okay, and Richard talks about not being able to follow my fucking references.
I was there for those references. I understood
Yeah,
those.
see, do you see now?
Okay, I've been on stream for Richard since 11 o'clock. It's now whatever the fuck time. I am high as a motherfucker. I've been smoking for 3 hours straight. You can all fuck off. My brain be going all over the place.
And Robbie is sticking around specifically because I needed assistance with supporting this stream today. So thank you so much for hanging out.
Bree,
Robbie,
I'm
I know
actually
it's
hanging
freaking late.
around. I'm hanging around because I love you. I've already got the timer set, and the computer's going to switch off at 4 in the morning, and you just have to hit end stream in your time. I can leave any time I want, and it'll run automatically.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh,
See how
cool.
arrogant he gets when he's in control?
No, I
He's
was
like,
trying
I'm
to.
running-
I was just pointing out how much I'm here because I love Bree. Not fuck
Yeah.
you all, right? And
Robbie is controlling my stream in Illinois from his computer in Northern Ireland. So that's what a time to be alive.
That's why he mumbles.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland.
This is obviously film footage of the International Space Station chasing a black hole around the planet that contains a math pig.
Yes.
Oink.
And they never did catch you, did they?
I thought it was a mechanical seagull.
I am not, what?
Birds
Seagulls?
aren't real, dude. Birds don't real.
Yeah.
Just,
I was actually a member of that group for a while. Birds aren't real. I got
I was
bored
a
with
part
it.
of the original. Well, not the original because I'm not that fucking
There is no original.
creative. Christians Against Dinosaurs. on
Christians
Facebook.
Against Dinosaurs. I was a part of Christians
Wow.
Against Dinosaurs and Dinosaurs Against Christians who are against
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
Okay, Richard, do you
We
remember?
might have spoken at that point because I used to talk about stuff.
Richard,
That I fucked with. Those are the people I fucked with the most.
do you remember earlier whenever I tried to remember my point and I couldn't remember my point, and then I made a point that
No,
wasn't my
just speak
point.
it.
I just remembered my point.
I was gonna say you just told us how high you were.
When you discussed about the devil and their angels, his angels, whatever's angels, being sent down to deceive all of Christianity, there is a YouTube channel which I use for shits and giggles and just random. If you're feeling funny, go look at this. It's called "The Bible is the Mark of the Beast," and they believe that the Bible was sent forth as, you say, to be used.
Deceiving.
Yes, they recently released a video a few days ago about every Christian organization that is not the true one has a demon in charge, and they are branded spiritually by this.
Yeah,
They're
that's
mad as
special
fucking
knowledge
hatters.
and exception from the rule. And when someone claims special knowledge and exception from the rule, like, oh, but I'm exempt, I have to go, yeah.
Well, they say anyone who refers to themselves under the label of, say, Baptist or Presbyterian has been fooled. You should always just label yourself as a Christian. One who says otherwise has been branded by a demon.
Wow. Well, I am happy to know that the stories claim that I'm ignorant, and because I'm ignorant, I should be extended grace. That seems appropriate to me because I'm stupid. Happy to be stupid. Thank you. No, I'm happy to be compared to them. I'm stupid. They forgive me. I'm a child. That's cool.
Compared to, excuse me, compared to who?
Literally what the Christian text would call angels.
Okay.
But
And-
it just means a society of Homo sapien sapien that figured it all out and they got no troubles anymore.
And they live on another planet, or are they?
No, they're galactic travelers. They are not stuck on a planet anymore. They haven't been for a really long time.
And they're humans though. You said Homo sapiens sapiens.
Homo sapien sapien. You are exactly that thing.
So, like, you could be engaging with one of them and not know that it was a
Well, there are
angel?
some minor differences. like the masculine set of them are something about 8 feet tall. You'd notice that. Their female counterparts would be something around 7 feet tall. Wow, you would notice that.
So they're giants.
They effectively don't age. They are permanently healthy.
How's that work?
There's
quite recently there, I seen.
Yeah.
I'm not talking fucking Twitter or something like that. I'm talking.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. It's been added, but send you the link, Richard.
Well, you can just like Google negligible aging, and there you'll find that there is, including an ocean whale, which is a mammal, that effectively doesn't age. And you already know about some of these, like for instance the loggerhead turtle.
There is
I have personally witnessed a female that was laying a clutch of eggs on Bear Island Beach off the Carolina coast. She was recorded as being 630 something years old, which doesn't matter.
Even if that's true,
an Arctic shark. Sorry, if I can just say this because an Arctic shark has been. They believe that they can live up to 800 years old, and they have on record genetically 500 to 600 at the minute.
Greenland sharks, yeah, they are
directly attached to their metabolism, though.
Greenland sharks are a species of they're sleeper sharks, basically. So they spend most of their time laying on the like the bottom of the
virtually inert.
Yeah, and they can be like serious predators. I mean, don't get me wrong, they can take down like I believe they found like caribou in their stomach and things like that. So they can actually do some damage, but they're for the most part they're really slow and sluggish. Now there was an episode of Monster Quest where they found one in the St. Lawrence River, like right by where people were.
See, that's the one that I recognize that I'm pretty sure I've seen.
Yeah, that's terrifying because they can eat someone. They could definitely take you out, but they're generally pretty slow. And you'll see some of these deep sea footage where they like drop a cage with some bait down in there and put a light on it, a camera on it, and see what comes and eats. It's usually these big sleeper sharks like that, but they can live hundreds of years once they reach a certain size and they have that slow metabolism. They're just stagnant down there. They're just in the stasis state, except for when they stop to eat. As far as the loggerhead sea turtle being 600 years old, I'm doubtful about that. I do know that there are tortoises that live a couple hundred years old and stuff like that. But I would want to see some kind of record or something of one that was 600 years old. I mean, I've got right now, from what I understand, the oldest confirmed vertebrates are somewhere in the area of 200 to 300 years old.
Okay,
but
so I'm repeating to you what the people who study the loggerhead turtle and radio track them and look at how well they're reproducing and their endangerment and stuff like that. Those rangers, and I'm telling you what the ranger told me.
Okay, and I'm like okay with that.
I didn't take a flashlight while at the night on the beach and start counting the rings on this thing's shell plates.
Anybody is accusing you of that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that people do that for a living, and I'm quoting them.
If you're gonna do it during the daytime.
That'd be easier. But this was at night. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and I only happened to cross the ranger and the turtle because I had to take a trip to the bathroom. They require on Bear Island that you go to the bathroom in a certain place. You can't. Anyway, so
the number of times
I ran across this turtle and a ranger, and I had a lot of questions, and I'm repeating to you the answers.
Don't forget about Orgay.
Yeah, I was looking that up actually, Richard. I'm sure someone told you that, but you can't verify what you were told, which lends me to believe that that turtle was not like there's what Jonathan the tortoise was like 200, but if there was like a 600-year-old egg-laying turtle, I believe that it's going to be easily verified via Google, and it's not showing up in Google. So
Okay.
I'm not calling you a liar. You know, I'm not calling you a liar, but
No, that's
maybe
not
the
saying
guy
that.
that said that was incorrect, and maybe
It was a woman. She had to be right. But
She just can't hunt or skin a rabbit. Isn't that right, Richard?
yeah,
Frankly, I'm surprised you
they
believe
suck at sharpening knives too, for that matter. But so
Sarcastic joke from earlier, Brie. Remember Cub Scouts?
just ignore it.
Yeah, the Cub Scouts. I remember.
Okay, on that note, I'll be leaving in like 5 minutes and hoping that this computer will run everything by
That's
itself
not how on that
automatically.
note works as an idiom.
they have a 500-year-old clam. If that helps.
Hey,
Yeah, there's giant clams that aren't a separate species. They're just really friggin' old clams.
I think we've all come across those.
I don't know, but the little
Artie!
sex joke tonight is far above what I'm used to.
Let me guess. It was
Highly.
while you were clam diving.
I
Let me
am
just
not.
guess,
He
Artie.
was high in the desert.
I'm mostly a freshwater guy, and I don't swim. I'm like
You don't like that brackish brown water, do you? No.
My
It
local
makes-
lock is slightly green. It's got some algae.
It makes it too easy for my body type to float, and it's uncomfortable.
Ah,
Oh, you boys.
The water is too dense, and I float too high. It makes me uncomfortable.
Something's dense here, that's for sure.
And you're goddamn right.
Is it me?
It's the planet behind me.
Not
It's
even.
pure rock hard.
Oh,
That's not
all
how
right.
it is.
I don't even know how we got to this place in the
Pretty sure
conversation.
this
I
is
want
my
to
fault.
know
I'd
what
like to
Orga is
apologize
thinking, all right?
on behalf of
I want to
everybody.
know their thoughts, all right? Artie is insane. Richard, I know too much. And have that conversation offline. That's a different thing. We need to ask what Orga is.
I gave you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about that brown brackish water right now. It's all in my head.
Oh,
And Richard's judgment eyes are only doing it for me at this moment.
What are you describing? What's in your head? Is it more of a slurry kind of a brown, or
If I have to describe it, you don't know what I'm talking about. So.
oh,
I don't know, show off?
that's a.
You don't know my life. You don't know where I've been.
He breaks down and cries and storms off.
Although I did just admit that I know nothing about brackish water aside from my claim of, is it foamy?
Well,
We also
When it
haven't
comes-
said hello to Jada the Atheist. It's really...
yes, it's good to see you, Jade. Thank you so much for coming in. And I am getting a little bit of an echo in my headphone now. Am I still echoing to you guys? Okay, good. As long as it's just echoing for me, I don't care.
Yeah,
can
no, I
listen
heard
to
it,
my own
but-
voice.
I thought it was me. I mean, I thought that.
I heard
Yeah.
it, and I thought it was Artemis as well.
Yeah, see?
The only
'Cause
fucker not
it's a
wearing
lot-
headphones.
sometimes the gap between this one and this one gets picked up by the mic.
The only fucker not wearing headphones is me, so it's possible.
Wow.
Oh.
You
Well,
mumbled, you can't hear yourself echo like a duck.
oh, I swear we were like so into talking about this idea about the arc and genetics and stuff, and now I'm like, well, I want to bring this over to my stream, and now we're like totally off track of talking about.
Listen,
I
I
Richard
think
needs
back
to-
to the beginning of your stream, and it turns out to be right now 54 and 30.
Yeah, and
That's how long we've
frankly,
been doing this.
You're the one that got everything off fucking target in the first place. Remember?
Well,
Do you
yeah,
remember?
I feel
Remember,
better
like-
because Bree came in and talked over me and stole my stream, so I'm going to come
Yeah,
into Bree's and I'm going to
completely
talk
changed
over
the
her and I'm
fucking
going to steal
subject on
her
you.
stream.
Yeah, it's only fair that you give up control.
Give up control.
Artie,
Can-
you're not talking to the giraffe with the tie. Calm down. Your sexual preferences are not
You
on
have
trial
never
here.
seen that? Well, you might have seen that.
It's over your
Oh.
right shoulder right now.
Right now.
No,
Right behind
not
you.
the giraffe.
Looking.
He's wondering if anyone
Giraffe.
has actually seen the videos that he has. And yes, Peter is not nice. He let them out. You annoyed him one night. Common knowledge what
Yeah.
you do with that poor giraffe.
That's mostly how I know Artemis is through Peter. They're like
Giraffe video?
well, lots of different things. I just assumed that
He
they were.
didn't name Carl. I don't care what story he's telling anybody. He
What's-
was definitely the one that wouldn't stop repeating it and sharing it on the with the world, but he didn't do it.
Aw.
Such a
Well.
bastard. Such a fuzzy little Dutch.
Fuzzy little Dutch.
Like,
Yeah,
I
and
had
just-
a really bad Sunday, and Peter went to the expense to actually call my cell phone yesterday. So
He loves you.
I don't have a bad thing to say about the man.
Brother
even
from
knowing that
another mother.
He's every bit the prick that I am.
Oh, he'll
Yeah.
tell you he is. That's not a secret.
That's why we're friends.
So, I wanted to circle this back around. Now we're looking at the Earth and things like that on Robbie's screen. I know he's about to take off, but let me try to get a understanding of why we are to take these books from very specific. Even we go all just beyond the Abrahamic beliefs, from very specific areas with just very okay. We look at the Earth, and there's all this mythology comes from this one little tiny area on the surface of the Earth. I'm just looking at Robbie's map and thinking about that. Why is it this message only for this group of people that live inside that circle?
That's beautiful. It's not. It's for everybody, but everyone is like tribally proud of themselves and think they're the ones that have the right story.
But you think all the stories are the same.
Oh, the stories are the same. It doesn't matter which one you read.
So
none of them are mutually exclusive.
No. Like there is slightly perspective change, and there's details, but there's never a detail that defeats some other story. It just doesn't happen.
So
I think Greek mythology and a
Name the
single
story. I'll show you.
God and a single God.
Yeah,
Wait. You're talking about a Christian claim of monotheism in a
Agreed.
being with
Agreed. I am.
personage.
I'm going by what my
That's
familiarity
flawed.
with my
So-
own reading of the Bible suggests is, I am the Lord, thy one true God. It was describing one God.
Yeah, but
There's
that
verses,
one
though,
God
with-
is spirit, and that
Yeah,
seven
there are
that
more,
spirit is
there are more
seven.
than one God, according to the God that speaks in the Old Testament, but it does say, I am the one true God.
Right, and that's
Which is
something
still
with
funny.
personage
No God before me.
representing. It's something
So-
with personage representing, trying to explain to the intended reader, not to everybody, what the meaning of God is. That
200
it's
years
like
ago, that word was primitives. Describing to the primitives what that word means.
well,
what's not intended for the primitives. I'm sorry, I don't agree.
so are you ascribing a monotheistic origin, or is it a pantheon?
Depends on what you mean, because you have the angel of God, which is God. You have the Father, which is God, and you have Jesus, which is God.
So you're a
And
Trinitarian.
you have Mikael, whose name means him like
Quadritarian.
God. How many are there?
I don't know. I would just.
So
I
those are
stopped at
beings.
quadritarian.
Those are beings who also have personage, flesh, like they have one of these things. But
Okay.
God is spirit. God is love. God is empathy. God is understanding. And God is these seven specific fundamental spirits, which is how you would like construct a society. It's a set of standards.
What's the origin for that number for 7? Where are you getting that?
Why is
from?
it 7,
Society's
or
got
why am
7
I
of
saying
something.
7?
Why is it 7? Why? Because I Trinitarians, I get why it's 3:
Seven
Father, Son,
family.
Holy Ghost.
No,
But
that's
septarians.
it's like if
Septarians.
you were like on the cutting room of a film, right? And you're saying, well, these 3 frames right here, the end of this, and she blinked. Well, let's get rid of that, right? So you get rid of the blink. But that little piece of 3 frames right there is all the Christians see, is only 3 frames. They are not looking at a big picture that's demanded by the 3 frames. Like, how do you get to Father, Son, Holy Ghost out of nowhere?
Wait, your metaphor falls apart. 3 frames only ever captures it doesn't matter how many frames roll by a lens. The lens only ever captures this much. So
right.
3 frames kind of doesn't mean anything because the perspective never changes in
frames per
right.
You need to be able to.
So
you're saying
what you said was that there's a thing beyond that can be seen, but that doesn't relate to your original fucking metaphor.
No, it's not to the left and right. It's before and after in the film.
Well, yep.
I don't care about left and right. I'm not talking about left and right. I'm like, if you kept scrolling through, you'd start to see more.
Why? So we're looking at just a couple of pages of the flip book.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Say it's 3 pages of a flip book.
Out of Africa, where we see something for 30 seconds and then the camera starts to move. While it was spectacular for its time, that's a sleeper of a movie because it's a great thing to sleep to.
What movie is it?
Out of Africa.
Out of Africa.
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's like 2.5 hours. It was one of the original really long movies that was just needlessly really long.
Yeah. Or they let the director just keep everything in the film.
Yeah, somebody was doing either the editor was on heroin or I'm pretty sure the editor was on heroin. The movie's it's beautifully cut, but it's what was the PBS BBC series Planet Earth?
Yeah.
If you took every B-roll from Planet Earth, that's most of Out of Africa.
Just a lot of video and clips.
It's
stock
really
footage.
pretty, and the shots were really complicated given the day that they were being. Yeah, but goddamn.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to something that related to the conversation. So it's the reason, it's the rationale that in Hinduism you have the creator God, but he's kind of unimportant and you kind of blow him off later. Once the creating part is over, that's not the point at all. And you move on to the actors who are doing things in the now. And
where did the actors come from, though? They came from the creator God. So does he have to have?
No. The creator is a set of standards that have demands.
It's
just
a God that only exists to create. Not even everything.
Dude, you're
like as
doing
a goth.
this on purpose at this point. Come on, it's not funny anymore.
Sorry, I wasn't doing it on purpose, but it's a point well made.
Is like Azagoth, right? The are you familiar with H.P. Lovecraft? So there's like this creator god at the center of the existence called Azagoth, the blind idiot god. He has this orchestra that plays music to keep him sleeping, but we exist inside his dream, and he's the creator of everything. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say it's similar to that. Of course, it's being introduced to the people of India, and it has to fit their social structures, right? But
why does it? Wait! Shouldn't their social
really long lineage?
Shouldn't their social structures be based on the reality of this instead of the reality of this being based on their social structures? The reality of what you're explaining.
It has to fit their already existent social structures.
But the explanation would precede their culture, right?
No. The religion is invented for the people. And that's because that until you become a gregarian cooperative, you don't have time to sit down to like talk about religion and stuff. You don't have God before that. Nobody does.
we had deities in like Paleolithic people had deities. They had you could see them.
Western Hemisphere was full of them.
They had the little goddess figures, little statues, little fat goddess ladies with big titties.
And a lot of phalluses for some reason.
Can I jump in for
Yeah.
2 seconds?
Free.
When you want to end the stream, do you know that page?
Yeah, I to get the stream key, I got it still pulled up here.
Yeah.
No worries.
It says end stream in the top corner. Whenever you want to end that, don't worry about the computer. Going to put me backstage, leave me backstage, don't re-add me again, and everything all going well should work, and just end stream. Right.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
very
Love
much
you,
for having
Robbie.
me.
Good night, you mumbly bastard.
La, 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 la. Night, night.
All right. So I won't be able to add anybody else after this, huh?
No. You're running this stream. You'll be able to add anyone you
Okay.
want. It's already set up.
Yeah,
Just
he has handed over permission.
remove me
Okay.
from the stream.
All right. I'm gonna remove you now, Daddy.
Aww.
I didn't let him respond to it either. That's the
Yeah,
best
no, that was
part.
beautiful.
Yes.
I don't want
So-
you to think that we didn't appreciate the timing. It was
All right. So where were we? I think we were talking about. I just popped back over the stream, and so I'll already do this again for like the second time.
yeah. The first one was this, and the second one was that guy with the rainbow confetti.
like Rip
Yeah,
Taylor.
glitter, yeah, the glitter guy.
Yes. So where were we? I'm kind of stoned myself.
I like
We
what
were-
Richard Gere did. He went on.
Richard
That's-
Gere.
Okay, so
See,
So,
Robbie had to derail us
the God of the
again.
Bible, the God of the Bible, described in great detail in the Old Testament, right? Is
Yeah.
is literally spirit. It's not. So the spirit or ideals have being. The ideals are real, but it doesn't have personage. So you can take that and make and just like paste it on top of Brahma, right? And then you have the first human, which the first human or the first God, right, precedes all the rest of the humans, and they're all reiterations or reincarnations or children of.
So,
you have, that's Adam in the Bible. Go ahead.
so the reincarnation in your model is a thing. But it only for these higher beings or for humans?
No, it's
as
just
well?
talking about the circle of life and how this just keeps happening again and again.
So do we exist as a new being in the next cycle? I mean, are we as individuals reincarnated as new
cyclists.
individuals in the
Deep
cycle?
down, we're all cyclists.
I think if you happen to die, you'll be physically restored. Don't ask me how they store all your memory. I don't know. I just don't know how that works, okay? But they
promise not
store
to.
every bit of you, and they have genetic survey. So they recreate you in a very naturalistic process, viable ovum, put the right combination in, and you get Brie. And that's all there is to it. And then at some point in your development into adult, they give you back the you that's up here right now. I'm not sure how that's done. I'm sorry. It just doesn't go into any detail about it. So I don't know how that's
So you're
done
not born with the you in your brain, that you have to restore it. It's like a system restore, like when you're
Well, your
18 months
experience
old.
right now is going to be really important. That can't afford to be lost. So let's see. An easy example of an artistic expression of this is the Cylons are repeats of themselves, right? And,
Okay.
and if a Cylon gets killed, they take and they put the memory in a different Cylon that looks exactly the same. So it keeps growing like that. We only get restored once.
So the person who is me, the person who is Bree, right,
Yeah.
has existed before, and those
No.
experiences are impacting.
No, this is the only you ever that will ever be.
Okay.
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 But in heaven, you're physically restored, and the mental you, the important you, is restored to that physical person. So you're like 100% you again,
But in heaven.
but just not on a planet.
But
Yeah.
heaven's a physical place, so it is reincarnation. It's or like
It is, yeah.
like Avatar.
Well, I mean, the Christian doesn't like it,
Xanadu.
but there's 2 examples of reincarnation in the Bible, and you already know them. That Satan is killed, he's dead for 1,000 years, and gets restored. That's reincarnation. And Jesus dies on the cross, gets in 3.5 days, gets restored. That's reincarnation.
What about
God couldn't live
there's
without
more
Satan.
than that. There's Lazarus and
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I know, but
Or
they
the
kind of
raising
like
of
go,
1,000
la la la
dead.
la la. I don't know why they go la la la. They just ignore it.
yeah,
Reincarnation
song was
definitely
written
part
like
of the
that.
story. Yeah.
Sorry.
right. And I much understand that Jesus is also supposed to be the new Adam. So is he a reincarnation of Adam as well? I mean, that's
Yes, that's the way Hindu's saying it.
Hindu did what?
Hinduism is saying it that way, that you are an emanation or an incarnation of God. That's the way they say it over there.
So reincarnation requires death. Incarnation would be like, okay, God's existing in
Sure.
ethereal plane or whatever, some separate dimension of existence, and basically has an avatar of himself that he puts down onto Earth. That would be an incarnation. A reincarnation would be as if he goes into that entity,
Right.
and that entity dies, and he goes into a different entity. Right.
Right. So just like the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus, he's an incarnation that gets killed and resurrected. So he's reincarnated, right? And just like the story of Ram and Lakshman, it happens to them too. They get a poison arrow snake thing in the neck. And
I'm not even convinced that within the narrative that Christ is supposed to have reincarnated. I don't think that the narrative presents a compelling case that any experience of Christ after the crucifixion was a physical manifestation.
I think. Have you seen the movie Powder?
Uh-huh.
I think the ending of that movie is as close as I'm comfortable to getting with reincarnation, and that involves energy, not consciousness. That
I'm
at
sorry,
the end of the movie,
Powder.
powder turns into bright white light. That's the end of it. Powder has only ever existed as the physical mass form of light, and when he dies, he just turns into bright white light and bursts into the universe. I'm really comfortable with the idea that that's how it fucking functions.
Yeah.
I don't believe in reincarnation. I don't believe in any of this shit, but
You
it actually
in
makes sense
the
in the sense of physics that the energy from a dead body that goes from instantaneously going from being alive to now dead, there's a lot of electricity in that body, and while powder is obviously an exaggerated form of that from beginning to end, I kind of feel like that's how it works. But the energy is just equally dispersed into the.
Well, it literally happens that way in like rotting and bugs eat you and stuff like that.
Decay, you go back into return to the earth, as they say.
The instant that you.
He's talking about. You're talking about the bioelectric.
Right, the actual electricity inside you.
The energy that's running you.
By dead cells, all of a sudden, it's released into the.
I think that's just true.
At the moment of death, maybe. We lost Orge.
His connection can be spotty. Don't take it personal.
Yeah.
I think it's on the one hand, I think it's necessarily true. On the other hand, I pointed it out because the end of Powder is such a beautiful representation of that actually happening.
It's very romantic. It's beautiful.
It's a,
Well,
yeah, it's-
I romanticize decay though. I like watching like videos of a dead animal laying there and watching all the
The body
animals.
farm.
The body
I know
farm.
about the body
you
farm.
can tour the body farm.
Yeah. They have which beetles do they have in there?
University of Tennessee. Is that what it is? I know
It's
they
in
said.
Tennessee. I didn't know that.
Well, there's
I
one that the FBI uses, and then I'm sure there are several others around.
Well, I looked into getting my own carrion beetles, but the requirements to maintain them, you wouldn't want to have them in your house. We'll just put it that
Yeah,
way.
no, the smells would be
Yeah.
really unromantic.
Right.
Nobody's gonna light a candle scented like that and then assume a romantic position.
Right. Yeah. Let's keep that in the bedroom. With the side of beef
That was
decaying
so
in there.
odd. Nobody's gonna lean
That was
in.
so. I don't even know how you put those two things together: a carrion candle and romance.
Give me just a second. I just want to light this dude.
Oh my God, you are so disturbed,
How about a
brother.
kiss?
Like, I love you. There's something desperately wrong with you.
Carrion
I
candles.
maintain my sanity by dabbling.
Yeah. Well, I had
Hey,
this
babe.
vision in my head, right, of a like a vivarium with like a skull in there with carrion beetles and stuff on it, and they're really, the carrion beetles are actually pretty if you look at them.
They're iridescent. They're cool as fuck.
Yeah, but yeah, you wouldn't want to have it in your bedroom or anything like that.
You
So
definitely don't want their feeding tube to be.
that's like dung
I still
beetles.
have to
Dung
eat
beetles
dinner
are so
after
cool.
this, right?
The thing with dung beetles is that you can. Not that I've done this because I really haven't. I swear to you. Is that you can get manure that's completely dried out and then just kind of break it up and put it in accessible place, and they'll add their own moisture.
Yeah, get it.
So you don't get the
roll.
necessary smell that you would from,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have some desert beetles, and they liked dog turds, so I'd put a dried dog
Who
turd
doesn't
in
love
there.
a good dog turd?
Right. I hang out. I only have this one mantis right now. I'm gonna get some more, but when I have a mantis, you'll see me spend a lot of time crouched over a dog turd with a net, waiting
Yeah,
for flies.
I don't think there's any coincidence in the fact that Stool is constantly asking me to send him white dog shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Stool.
I don't even think he's a philiac. I think he just
I think he wants.
white shit.
Yeah, I think he wants you to be. He wants you to be out there collecting it. He wants that to become part of your.
I
persona.
know that he delights in giving you pictures.
Okay, just out of love, I'll admit that there was this guy named Jerry Danley in Tennessee. Jerry Danley, and he spent months trying to convince me that I should defecate on a mirror so that I can watch myself defecating.
Did you do it?
No, I never
First
did.
of all, it sounds
But he
like an
worked
English beat
really
song.
hard at trying to get me to. But I don't know if it was a joke or if it's something that he thinks is okay. And
No, it's okay. I mean, it's a weird thing to suggest to a buddy.
it's an odd
I
fetish.
mean, you've
yeah.
obviously done it if you're going to suggest that somebody else did it.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. He had done it.
I wonder if he shat on an heirloom or if it just picked something
Yeah.
up at Target that he didn't have an
Yeah,
emotional attachment
cheap
to.
one of those closet mirrors that break real easy.
Closet
It's
mirror.
got,
That's
it's got a
great way of
cardboard
describing
back. It's not a real mirror.
Yeah, just some reflective foil.
Yeah, he did it in foil. He spent a day with a buffer. Oh,
Damn it, Jerry Danley! Why did you ever say that?
Yeah.
Well, if you do that, then you can wrap it up when you're done with it.
It's such a prick.
It's convenient, yeah.
Hey, you throw it on the grill and
Oh wow, where did this stream go? Oh,
So if you look at the Epic of Ramayana, you get the Trinity. You've got the older one who's the guide. He's a prince, no doubt about
okay.
it. He's a rightful heir to the throne, no doubt about it. You also got with him his younger brother. Now his younger brother is a prince and a rightful heir to the throne. and then you've got the intermediary between them, Hanuman. That's the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost again. It's just in the middle of a long string of film. It's not the only film.
But you said there's 7, though. I want to know where. I know those 3: Father,
7
Son, and Holy
spirits.
Ghost. Yeah.
Sounds like
Or the
Seven
Father.
spirits. Okay, if you can add to this, I'll hear of it. Okay? But it may be true that these are the most necessary and fundamental immaterial constructs. They're listed. Here they are: wisdom, knowledge, understanding.
Wait, what's the difference between those two to begin with?
That was my question.
Between wisdom
Artemis.
and knowledge.
Yeah.
Wisdom
accrued
we'll
and,
get
and
to it.
knowledge
Well,
is
let him
promise.
let him do the list, and then we can ask
I
questions.
promise.
Okay.
Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, counsel, fear, like a respectful fear, power, and conservation. And it's claiming that's how you run a society.
Some of those I don't know the difference between, though.
like
Right.
4 of
That's
them.
fine. Go ahead.
Yes. So, the ones he started with saying what's the difference
Yeah, I
between
think it was
wisdom
like
and
4 of the
knowledge.
first 5 seem to be real similar.
I'll give you an example of the difference between wisdom and knowledge.
Okay.
You can go on the internet and look up flying cats. There's no cats with wings. Sorry.
Right.
So you can say, I've seen pictures of flying cats. I know they exist. No, have the wisdom to say there's no animal on this planet which is cat-like, which also has bird wings. It doesn't happen.
But we know that now because of the scientific understanding, right? But back in the ancient times, they did think there was.
And for the sake of argument, I have a jackalope hunting license from the state of Wyoming.
Which is fine. I think you can get those in Santa Fe. We have jackalope here. It's they're prevalent.
Mine's from Wall Drug. I'm sure they're available.
Of course, they're an invasive species. They're a real problem. They're starving
Yeah,
out the actual rabbits.
They're murder on wire fences.
Wait, no, the jackalope is indigenous. They're not invasive.
They're invasive in New Mexico.
Well, I
Well,
didn't know they'd been
They've
introduced
been
to New
pushed there by
Mexico.
the fencing and the way they can't. They struggle with fences. They tear
Somebody
shit up.
thought it was cute. Look, it's just like the darn gigantic pythons in Florida that don't belong there.
Yeah.
I desperately
Somebody
want to
had it as a
continue to
pet.
have
They
a
brought it over
coverage.
here. Next thing you know, okay. So back to something like realism.
Okay.
All right. So where were we? Okay. So the 7 spirits.
Right. What were
if
those
you
first 4 again?
wisdom,
Knowledge.
after that understanding, then counsel. No one's an island, you know.
Okay. Right. So counsel is that's different. The first 3 that you said there, I'm not sure. Okay, so and you gave an example of what wisdom is, that they're wise enough to know that there's not a winged cat, but how would that not be knowledge too? Or you say knowledge would be whereas wisdom would be your ability to infer.
Okay,
data.
so I think what you're saying is these things are intrinsically tied, in which case I agree with you.
I'm saying that it's.
They're not the same thing. They're nuanced aspects of all one thing. There's only one God. That's like a standard statement.
That there's only one God as a standard statement.
Right, which is why they think it's monotheism. But the monotheistic God has a personage, has like a brain or something, or a mind or something. So there's only one God. It is that whole thing, which is 7 spirits. And you can't, you can never have success without these 7 super basic things.
So I can see the link with the other ones, but when you get to like counsel and that stuff, you're starting to deal with just like inferences, I guess, where you're like, oh, some no man's an island, so they need somebody to counsel with. So you like chop that in there. But I mean, there's other qualities that you would gain from I don't know, from other interactions, I guess.
Okay.
This is all one entity, though, that you're talking about that has these. I guess what I'm trying to understand
Depends
is
what you mean by entity. If you would use being instead of entity.
Okay, being.
Because entity suggests like material structure and stuff.
So is the claim that the entity, the being, I'm sorry, that the being is the source for these qualities?
No, Adam is the source of these things. That is, the human animal specifically needs this stuff.
Which Adam, or has there only ever been one?
There can be colloquial following of Adam or incarnations of Adam, but there's only one Adam.
Sounds like a video game.
So, but you said you say Jesus is an Adam too, though, right?
He's an Adam. Yeah.
But he's okay. So is he the one that can't? Is he the first one?
No, he's not the first. Adam is the first one, named because he has emotions, which turn his face red like the red clay of the earth.
And Jesus.
That's why he's called that.
Has no emotions.
What?
Jesus has no emotions?
No, Satan, the namer, the Elohim, have no emotion. They're differentiating between themselves and Adam, saying, this thing's face turns red.
So, remember you said that angels were Homo sapiens sapiens. Is that the Elohim?
No. That's a Christian assumption that we shouldn't make. If you look into the Hebrew word Elohim, it's plural, not singular monotheistic. It's not. It can't be monotheistic, right? The Christians justify it by saying, "Oh, the Elohim is the Father, Son, Holy." Sorry, that don't work either, because what Elohim means is a group of powerful beings which may be benevolent and may be malevolent.
Jesus, that's a lot to infer into that.
I know they inferred a crap load you can't put on it.
No, that's just a weird thing to have a word for.
What, a group of powerful beings? What if you're at war? What if you're a warring tribe? You need to know that tribe over there is Elohim. This tribe over here, we can kick their ass real easy.
You didn't stop at powerful beings, though. There were other attributes
that they could be good and they could be bad. If you were a warring tribe, it makes sense to have the word Elohim.
So, but the Elohim, I always thought was more like a name for the pantheon, like Olympians for the Greek gods.
It broke up a little bit. Would you please repeat from I thought it meant?
I thought it meant that was the name of the pantheon for the Canaan gods. They say Olympians for the Greek gods or what have you.
Yeah, they want to. Oh my gosh. We are inundated by Christianity, which does not make sense against the Bible. And I'm sorry.
I have made the guy that drove me to making videos on YouTube. I would love to get the two of you to have a conversation, because you have your opinions are so diametrically opposed.
Set it up.
I can't. I don't know him like that. But I got involved with him because he and I had a conversation on G+. That's how fucking nail I am to the technology of the day. Years ago, he's a
Google
minister,
Plus, but not yesterday.
He's a minister, and exactly. He's a minister and a flat earther that he bases his flat eartherism on the Bible.
You can't.
Well, the reason I went at the video of his that I did was because he went after a Lutheran that defended the idea that the Bible doesn't exist as a science book, and that there are parts that should obviously be taken as something other than literal. And while I struggle with the notion of who gets to decide that and when, I obviously took his side in the argument.
Sure. I would too, because Jesus is not milled lumber held together by hardware.
Yeah, and the guy, this pastor who does Sunday service on YouTube every day or every week, he just lambasted this guy for he attached Lutherans. The minister was a Lutheran. He attached Lutheranism to Catholicism and then condemned both of them simultaneously, as if
okay, well, I don't know how you do that.
What he really wanted to do was make friends.
That's not going to work out for you.
Well, on the one hand, I'm suggesting that that's what drew my attention to him, is that not only what did he hold these ridiculous
So he's a
raging
minister
bigot. Yeah.
With he has a congregation who listens to him talk about flat Earth.
Some of them do.
Like snake handlers in Kentucky and Tennessee, they don't bring the snakes out every Sunday, and he doesn't talk about flat Earth in any real regularity at all, unless it somehow fits what he's talking about as it relates to his sermon. He speaks the word.
Right.
Thank you, Brian Stevens, for putting that definition up. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And to directly answer you, Artemis, the reason that we think things are true is because they meet basic standards, and they at least pass that.
Yeah,
now,
I'm not an atheist because I chose not to believe. It's because I cannot believe.
No, I got you. No, that makes sense. Good for you. Good for you. But the reason we think things are true is because, like, they comport with reality, like correspondence theory. They're consistent within themselves. They're not constantly self-defeating. They're not arguing with logic. They don't say one thing is three things. You don't say stuff like that. Doesn't make sense.
You literally just said one thing was three things.
When did I say one thing is three things?
You just talked about the Trinitarianism thing where
you didn't hear a thing I'd said. Apparently, what I said is that there's a living being with flesh and a different living being with flesh who both agree the most important stuff ever is these 7 standards, and they follow them. There's nothing contradictory about that. It doesn't make the same related. It doesn't make the 7 standards 3 different people or even 2 different people. It doesn't. They're a set of standards. Anybody can do it.
It does make God 2 people.
No, it makes people who are the hand of God other beings than God.
I know you use words different from me. I get that part.
But they're able to act on physical reality, and that's how they're not God. God can't do that.
But L, so like the term L is which we derive from the Bible, is the Most High, right? That's what that comes down to basically. I mean, if anybody has another definition, that's fine. I'll go with that.
No, that's pretty good. It's pretty solid.
L is just so Most High implies that there are other gods for which to compare that entity to, or that being to. I know you didn't like the word entity, but so isn't that referential within the context of itself that there are other gods?
Well, it depends on what it's talking about. When it says other gods, it could mean you.
No, she's not talking about it actually mentioning other gods. She's talking about the use of the word.
I didn't say that.
The inference that since because you wouldn't have to specify
if the other
that
God
Most High.
Is you, I'll say it like this: you're a member of the United States. You by default you don't leave, so you're stuck with that. You could leave, just leave, and you don't have to be a U.S. citizen anymore. Just go. But as long as you're here, you're subject to U.S. law. Now you are not the Constitution.
No, seriously.
I want to say that real bad. And
you don't have to be a U.S. citizen for U.S. law to apply to you.
Will you please not talk about the exception when I'm talking them in generalities to establish an overall idea? Would you stop it?
It's part of being a part of the UN. That you.
Okay, let's grant the premise. Okay, that.
I didn't say there are no exceptions and there are no special cases. And I didn't say that U.S. law applies to everyone everywhere when they have dual citizenship and every damn thing else you want to bring up. Stop it.
It's not even what I was.
Okay, well, let's just grant this premise that you're a U.S. citizen, you're subject to U.S. law. Go on.
Right. Okay, so in that way, the group of people, just like angels, are the acting God. However, they're not the Constitution. They just follow the Constitution. That Constitution, the 7 spirits, and all the repercussions of it. So that's the 7 spirits is how to run a perfect society. Then you have the society itself, the people who live there and agree to it. And they're the active physical part that like interacts with physical reality to like terraform planets, have kids, go different places, do stuff. but God doesn't have like a brain. The
Okay,
God doesn't
so-
have a brain. It's a set of standards. Does it have commandments? Yes. Does it demand certain things of you?
How-
Yes. Does it have laws? Yes.
Is it a thinking being?
Yeah, can I just
No.
for a second? Did you grow up watching the X-Files? I mean, was that the thing that
No, I didn't.
I
X-Files?
did.
I've heard of the show,
Okay.
obviously. I'm like an American adult.
Yeah, no, I asked because I was looking to reference a very specific episode. That's
I might know it. Go ahead.
It's iconic among people who have watched and certainly seen it. Is the Mama Under the Porch episode?
Sorry.
It's
Mama Under the Porch.
You're talking about
episode?
Are you
Sounds
talking about
horrible.
the Peacocks episode?
it's the inbreeding episode.
Yes. Okay, I'm familiar with that one. Yes, the Peacocks. What's that episode called?
And Mama looking with her eyes
Yes.
juxtaposed through the cracks, and yeah, that's where my mind goes when you start talking about something that exists without a mind. It exists solely to create, because that was Mama's job.
Oh,
she was like
that's
she was
icky.
like a queen bee, and all of her offspring would use her to create the next generation.
Okay, great. Lovely, gorgeous. Thanks for bringing that up.
Look, it was a
It is one of the-
show.
It is one of the
fucking
best
brilliantly
episodes of the X
written.
Files.
Yeah, it was
it really
incredibly well written.
is. The series
Okay.
Wrong Turn was based on that.
I'm sure it's hugely popular in circles of people who
Yeah, no,
want
it doesn't-
to.
I'm quite certain
experience
it
something.
doesn't get watched.
You
a lot
just
because
scarred
it's
me
uncomfortable.
without asking me if it was okay. I'm kidding you. I'm not.
So back to the topic at
You
hand.
didn't even
So-
ask if it was okay to scar me. You just reached out and cut me, dude.
I felt like at your age that you'd been exposed to enough
I
other shit.
accept certain scars on purpose, knowing that they'll benefit me.
I
But don't just reach out with a razor. Don't do that.
Oh,
it
anyway,
wasn't that razor, I just-
let's get back to the deity here, because it sounds like so it doesn't have a brain. You're giving it you call it, you want it, we talked about it earlier and called it a being, right? But
Well, everything that exists has being.
okay, yeah, anything that has material.
That
Well,
It
you're talking
does be.
you are talking about the philosophical definition of being.
Well, it's
That's
also the way
good.
the word functions.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was
present
going
tense.
with.
thing.
Yeah,
Right. It is
Um,
presently being.
because
That is
I
somewhere.
It is.
right
Right,
in
it is.
my
Right.
in my mind, I always associate being with like an entity, something with an intelligence, maybe even.
That's why I keep saying personage.
yeah, personage. So does this God figure, does it have personage then?
No.
Okay, so does it have intelligence?
No, it's brainless.
So how is it? In what way is it a god?
It makes commands.
It makes commands. It makes commands.
How does it make
makes
commands without?
commands.
How
Let
does
me
it
give you an
create
example of
commands?
making a command, something that's
Just-
really simple.
What,
If
hold on.
you're a
Without a
humanitarian, you
brain.
have to treat people well. There is no thing humanitarianism. That's something you actively participate in because you find it valuable. But it makes demands of you. If you're a humanitarian, you can't treat people like shit.
If you're thinking,
No, you're the one that thinks. Humanitarianism doesn't think about anything ever. And by the way,
So-
it doesn't act
Humanitarianism
on
isn't a
reality
being.
ever.
So humanitarian, God is like the concept of humanitarianism. Then, so God is a concept.
yes,
so it's not a being.
it's a being.
It only exists in one form.
Conceptual?
Humanitarianism is a being. It's a thing in existence that exists right now. It has being.
I apologize. I don't understand your frustration with me. And I'm genuinely not trying to engender it. I just want to get that out there. I'm not trying to make you react to me. I'm genuinely.
I thought you got to be pulling my leg, man.
Well, it's so concept and being.
I
Are
wouldn't
not
do
that-
that to you. I trust you. I have too much respect.
I love
for your
you too.
intellect.
I just don't get what you don't get.
That I
I'm
can
trying-
appreciate.
I'm trying to find the so being and a concept are not mutually exclusive then.
A concept has being.
Okay.
Like if you can have a definition for indifference, indifference has being.
I don't is that the way that being's used in philosophy? I thought there had
Yes.
to be
No, it's just something that exists.
Not necessarily, but technically, yeah. It's anything that exists right
Okay.
now that you can identify.
Like
I
if you
suck
can
at
invent
philosophy, so
something
I'm
in
just
your
gonna-
mind
you're
right
good.
now.
Your question was grounded in good understanding of philosophy.
yeah.
If you create something brand new in your mind right now, right? As soon as you do that, it exists in your mind and has being.
but not being independent from my mind though.
Yeah. No,
So
No,
does
I didn't
God
say
have,
it's independent. No,
so does
exists.
God have independent being
outside of human mind.
outside of any mind?
No, you need Adam and his lineage for those things to have qualia, to have experience of it.
It's a brilliant question, and I understand
Yeah.
why your eyes just got that big. Because
It-
mine did, but I would.
It's like try to imagine saying that a lion murdered. That doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. A lion is not capable of murder. It just kills things and eats them.
Well, I'd say murder is like the killing of your own species, maybe. But I get what you're saying. That the lion's just
Okay.
following its instinct, its feeding instincts, right?
Right.
Okay.
So because it doesn't have those emotional thought processes going on, it doesn't make moral decisions. It just makes necessary decisions.
Well, I would think for a lion killing another lion, because that could be murder.
Okay, fair
depending on
enough.
how you use
Yeah.
the terminology.
Wolves-
And it would.
wolves
in
don't
the-
do that. Wolves don't have that behavior. There are no alpha males killing other wolves' pups. just
They'll
because they
force
are
them to
kids,
submit, but they won't kill them.
and they will let them be a part of the group. And
Right on.
and lions. The idea of lions eat their young is entirely misplaced because lions eat other.
Yeah, they don't
Other
eat their
males
own
young.
kids. They eat,
they eat
Yeah.
the young of others.
right,
Right.
and cats in general will do that.
And if anybody ever points that out to you in public, you should smack them in the throat.
Or
Yeah.
just explain it.
No, right.
Um,
Start with the smack.
I disagree, but okay. All right. So yes, a set of immaterial ideals are species specific to human being. That's why you never see Yahweh until there is Adam.
That's true for every social species, though. Isn't
Yes, of course it's true. It's just universally true.
I should know that from the reading.
Okay, so the reason you never see Yahweh in the Bible until after Adam is because Adam is the necessitator of Yahweh. Adam and his kind of species, his kind of animal
So,
need
When
Yahweh.
you use the word
So
species,
if-
what do you mean? Because it fairly starts with God being involved.
What? No, it does not. You are Christianized, and I apologize. It starts with
Wow.
Elohim being involved.
which are super involved humans, but they have different origins somewhere.
They're powerful beings. End of it. It doesn't say anything else about what they think, what they do, what they
So-
like, what they don't
Where
like.
they
if
come
they have
from.
morality, where they come from, it does not talk about it.
I thought
Until it gets to the
Elohim was
story
the
of
one that had a
Moses.
mind. Does Elohim not have a mind?
Elohim is plural, powerful beings, which may or may not be benevolent. They could be malevolent. They're just
So
beings with power, and they're able to act on reality that makes them physical. So they're physical, powerful beings, large group.
so
Right.
Elohim. Do you remember we talked about El a minute ago? And I was like, oh, the Most High. The
Right.
El and Elohim is the same. I mean, that's the same root. So the Most High being. So it's given a hierarchy. It's not separating El from the Elohim. El
No,
is
it's
the Most
not. You're
High
right.
of the
It's-
Elohim.
It's taking part of that, the definition of what El means, and then pluralizing it, and then taking away necessary morality.
Why do we? Where do we take away necessary morality at?
Well, because it's not the word Eloach.
But what is
and it's not the word Yahweh. There's other words for that stuff.
What is necessary morality?
You should be good to people. It's a should. I have a goal. It's not necessary.
The morality work.
There is no necessary morality, but if you have the goal of humans should prosper, you should do certain things and be humanitarian.
So the morality of every social species is the same, basically, as it is with humans.
Sure. Yeah, it would be. And what's good for a fish is not necessarily good for you. You're different things.
Sure. No, we both won't predate on each other, and we'll swim the same direction, and I'll use my.
Well, I mean, we're going to overlap with. We're going to overlap with most organisms on the planet are going to, is in their best interest for the planet to continue for instance, the biomes to continue to thrive. So we can't have an overarching goal. Like we all benefit from the atmosphere being sustainable and things like that. But there are individual things that could differentiate. Like, for instance, we might say climate change with warming trends is bad for us, but the plants they can expand their range.
They might love
certain organisms,
certain plants. Yeah.
I was legit. I wasn't trying to be a dick when I made my comment about if the purpose was to try to create slaves, and you could control how DNA worked, and you could manipulate it to create a being that you had in mind. Why wouldn't you use a plant?
I think they weren't that far along. I think that's maybe later. After all, they killed off an entire thousands of 2-year-olds down to newborns. They killed off thousands. They made a mistake, bro.
The Elohim did?
Well, God.
The Elohim made a mistake and they had to kill an entire gigantic batch of them.
Yeah, the God of the Bible did that with a flood. I mean, it's like a toilet flush.
Don't be so Christian that the story does not claim that.
I said the God of the Bible, though.
No, it's not the God of the Bible. It's what Christians told you about the God of the Bible. It's not the same thing.
I'm sorry. I have read the fucking book for myself.
He has a different interpretation of the flood myth.
You were already imprisoned by Christianity when you read it.
Interpretation as you are to yours, and mine is definitely not based upon what I was taught.
I understand that, but you're not totally free either.
So there's I guess what Artie's saying is that by the mainstream interpretations of the Bible, multiple mainstreams, not just the Christian, because that's the same interpretation that you'll find in the Quran.
Also, secular scholars and lots of folks.
The Pentateuch.
Interpretation of Noah is a love story,
and
it was actually endearing. I liked it. But the word Noah means the giver of rest. There's only one giver of rest in the story. It's the Father. He's the one that conducts end times, the rest time.
Well, then why was Noah named that? That seems weird.
Because it represents the Father. It's not some dude in the ancient Near East and there was a local or large flood. It's talking about heaven, which is why the Ark of Noah is heaven. That's why. That's one and the same thing. It's why God's already in it, because it's heaven.
So heaven was in danger during the flood and the tumultuous
waters.
There's
no danger to anyone.
So
and nobody drowns in H2O either.
So why the boat?
Because heaven arrives from the sky.
So why the boat?
That is the boat.
Granted, to my understanding, what the ark would actually have been would be square, because that's the surface area to buoyancy thing that makes the most sense.
So
and ease of production.
There's a
interpretation of watercraft. I would agree with you.
There's a literal interpretation with dimensions, though, with those dimensions given in cubits, which are a known dimension for the ark. So, are you saying that interpretation is wrong?
I was disappointed that I said in the comments cubit, and you got the reference to why I said it, but not the cubit reference. I was disappointed that you didn't get both of the inferences there.
Let me
Not
just
mad
run
at
through
you.
it real quick because I think this is super easy to understand.
Sure.
Okay.
If you measure a three-dimensional object, the city, and you get all the same measurement from some point of measuring, from some point, you measure it from here to there to here to here to here to here, and I get all the same thing. There's only one shape for that to be. Everything else has points and flats, nearer and further destination points, measuring points. It has to be a sphere because nothing else can do that.
A city
All right.
as a sphere?
The city is a sphere. Then it tells the color of the sphere. You can't have a color and a shape of an ethereal plane, Christians. It's not describing magical other universes. Stop it. Okay? And then it gives a specific measurement for what the measurement was. And that's 12,000 furlongs. If you do the conversion, that's 1,500 miles across sphere. Okay?
Wait a minute. How many furlongs was it?
And then 12,000. And then there's a conversion factor that is the levels of Noah's Ark. There's a conversion factor there. And the conversion factor is 30, 50, 300. Now, people could say, oh, that's the measurements of the boat. It was never intended to be read that way. That's the wrong way of even look at it. It's just heaven's conversion factor. So it gives a hard measurement and a conversion factor.
So the dimensions that are what we interpreted as dimensions, and when they're told that God gave those dimensions to Noah, was Noah actually, he couldn't have been building heaven if heaven's the ark. What was he building? What was
he
his
is growing
instruction?
heaven? That's true. He is building heaven. That's true. Every time an earth is collected into heaven, it gets a little bit bigger. So yeah, the giver of rest is building the ark. That's true.
But
Is this
when
the
you say-
unthinking God that lives under the, for the sake of?
No, it's the Father who has qualified those 7 things as valuable. That's how it's part of becoming the Father, is you have to think that's important.
And create.
Of course.
Who instructs
terraforming
the
is
Father?
creation and-
What?
Who instructs the Father?
We started with a brainless God.
Let me start
thing
again.
that
Okay.
can
So
create,
slaveholders
were a bunch
started
of
messing
other
around with
gods.
DNA and made something that you can't freaking control because it wants to be independent. They named that thing Adam. He started bitching that he was lonely. They made him an equal opposite. In their image, male and female made the Elohim them. So
Might be
similar to the Elohim, which are not necessarily good or bad, they're just powerful. Okay,
But
so
where did the Elohim come from? I don't
a
understand. That's where,
naturalistic, Darwinistic, neosynthetic-like process that happened on some planet.
How was neosynthetic and Darwin together?
It has to be together.
if it's synthetic, then somebody's customizing it, though, right?
No, synthesis means simple things can trade genetic material and make a new thingy.
Okay. I was using synthetic.
No,
in a
like
different
one-celled
way.
animals
Yeah.
often oh, I'm stealing some from you, and I'm stealing some from you, and here's
Yeah,
this
that's-
new thing that comes
That's not
up.
how the word synthetic gets used, but I appreciate that you've at least explained how you used it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was using it
okay.
differently.
I'm
So
willing
that's
to learn, Artemis, if you want to tell me
Synthetic
how
is
they mean it.
typically something that's been necessarily created by unnatural means.
I thought we were talking about biology here. I'm sorry. When the biologists use the word synthesis in neosynthetic Darwinistic evolution, I just quoted it exactly what they mean.
I've never seen a biologist use Darwinistic.
Go look up synthetic biology. Go look it up. It means animals crossing and
I
trading
don't have
stuff.
to go anywhere. I can do it right here.
No, I'm fine with that. If you're telling me that, and that's the terminology that you're using,
animals,
and
they steal from each other in genetic material and
as
stuff.
long as you're willing to explain the definitions you're using, we can continue to communicate. That's why I run into problems with talking to anybody about their belief systems. They refuse to explain what they mean by the definitions. Then we lose.
That's what I was trying to explain. Was that
lose the thread?
Well,
they're doing the synthesis, not we do the synthesis to them.
So they're natural then. The Elohim have evolved naturally, and they are what, just long lived, or are they immortal?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
what's the source of the power?
If I just think about the evidence that's in front of me right now, yet that man is flesh, his days shall be numbered 120 years. So their experience is that living things don't die of old age.
Okay. So
that's an interesting interpretation of that. Again, I'm willing to accept that is your interpretation of that thing.
It is my interpretation. I accept it. You know what the word yet means? Yikes. Hey, okay. Yikes. What does yet mean?
Wow. As yet not. Okay. In the sense of time that passes, it has not. If you want to use yet, that's why I'm fucked up. It has not happened, but is inevitable.
Right. Okay, so yet is like in spite of the state of affairs, it's relative. It doesn't mean like the Christians explain the word yet there. It just can't even mean that idea. It never does.
I have never heard that explanation.
Well,
I don't doubt that it exists. I've just never.
With the
yet
Elohim
that man has flesh, as in time space, defeating of, in spite of the fact that he has flesh, he's gonna have he's not gonna make it to 130. It's a death sentence.
Are the Elohim from the first Earth?
The Elohim that the Bible, I believe, they are Satan and his kind, and they're from the first Earth ever anywhere.
And Satan is one of the Elohim.
He's the first of their kind that doesn't die of old age, and he's just like been there freaking forever.
And when you say kind, you're not talking about like biblical.
He's the mama
kinds,
under the porch, right? Yeah. What's that?
When you say kind, the first of his kind, are you talking about as a species?
Species.
Okay. Do we know? Do we? Because when you talk about Elohim earlier, you said they are Homo sapiens sapiens. So Satan is a Homo sapiens sapiens.
No. I said angels are Homo sapiens. I never said Elohim.
Okay, so the Elohim are a different species. But
they could be.
Would we be interfertile with them?
I don't think so.
But we're made in their image. Physically.
Yeah, I think we have some of their genetic material in us. That's part of the monkeying around.
Mostly.
Of course, that would look completely natural too. It would just look like, look like we're cousins.
Yeah, we share a profile.
Kind of curious as to what these Elohim are supposed to look like. But I don't. It made
two-dimensional from the side.
Turn sideways and disappear. That's funny.
I can't help but think that they're like gray aliens or something, you know?
They're two-dimensional.
That's entirely possible, and I have no way of showing it because the text only talks about their intent against us and that they're our creator. So our physical creator. So right. Well,
I mean, because most of the texts that I'm familiar with, and maybe you're referring to different books and stuff, but generally present the gods as a, well, I shouldn't say most of them. The Abrahamic ones present God as a benevolent force or try to portray him as a benevolent force. You're saying that's just an interpretation.
That's a Christian mistake. The Jew wouldn't make that same mistake, mistaking the word Jehovah or Yahweh as Elohim. They would never make that mistake. That's an English mistake. It's a translation problem.
Well, I mean, Yahweh in El Yahweh when they merged him, when Israel kind of went their own way, away from the rest of the Canaan cultures who had these different gods. And I said, oh, you know what? Your gods don't exist anymore. Ours is the only God. Yahweh is also El, and they're one being. So, where was I going with that? Anyway, go on.
You'll notice that there's no L in the word Yahweh.
Right. Okay. I concede that.
Oh, you got me there.
But there is an L in, and I think you'll agree that there is an L in El Yahweh, right?
I don't know what you're talking about, El Yahweh. That would be like a proprietary term that does not appear in the stories.
What story?
So,
any of them.
Source to whom?
The Jews, for instance, the Torah. You're not going to find El Yahweh in Torah. That's not going to be there.
El's not in the Old Testament?
Sure, El is in the Old. Talking about the Elohim.
I'm not talking about the letter. I'm talking about
talking about the Elohim.
Okay.
And the Eloach, the other Jewish word which means a singular powerful being.
So it is in the Torah.
Yes, of course it is, because there was not always Yahweh.
So Yahweh is not in the Torah.
El Yahweh. There's no such term.
Yahweh's mama under the porch.
I thought El was mama under the porch.
No, El is what you get.
He doesn't have to be consistent. He doesn't believe these things.
El is what you get when you start talking to the Portuguese and the Spanish.
Yeah, but is El's the mindless God, right? So El is mindless, and then Yahweh is one of the Elohim.
Not necessarily. Yahweh is the set of seven spirits, sometimes called Jehovah out of respect, but that just means the same thing said two different ways.
It feels capricious.
The seven spirits are one.
I don't even drink orange
entity,
drinks.
Right?
So
it's good joke.
Capricious Sun and whatever else you want to talk about. I don't understand those things. I like sodas. So, Yahweh or Jehovah, which is super close to the same thing, is spirit. It says directly, Jehovah spirit. There's not even a bridge word there. It means that's one thing, Jehovah spirit. Okay? And then it lists the spirits, what it means by spirit, which they're all immaterial constructs. There's nothing else listed ever.
Question from the class. Where does this chart exist?
It's in Isaiah. It's in the Bible. It's in. There's direct.
Well, I know
statements.
There's no spreadsheets in my version of
Jehovah
the Bible,
Spirit.
Granted,
it's like
mine was published in 1970.
You don't even have to pick from two different sentences. It's all one thing. It's like two words in a row. Jehovah Spirit.
Where?
Of course, in the King James, it would come out as Jehovah or God is Spirit. That's how it would come out in English in the King James.
I got this on my confirmation. I think it was 1978. Where can you quote chapter and verse?
I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to.
I have an abnormality.
Well, I'm not trying to make you.
Where most people can do this thing that I can't do, and that thing is making sense of alphanumeric sequences that have no actual meaning. So when you ask me chapter and verse,
totally get that. Nope,
you might as well speak French.
Well,
but I'll look it up for you.
Chapter's a name and not a number.
I'll look it up for you though, because I have this really cool reference thing.
Yeah, go on.
Okay,
brother,
Genesis.
I am down. I got my golden book out.
133 times in 34 different verses in the KJV. Genesis 41:38, Judges 15:19, 1 Samuel 16:16, Ezra 1:5.
You know
I mean, it's just all over the place. Psalm 143:10.
I'm looking to see if that term exists in my version of the Bible. Not whether or not it exists in any version of the Bible. So just shoot me another one.
Let me see if I can find the actual one I was talking about.
That would be awesome.
Hold
And I
on.
apologize for
Because
not
these
remembering
see,
chapters of
here
the
you go.
Bible.
John 4:24. John 4:24. It came out. God is, which is italicized, meaning that word ain't there. God a spirit. John 4:24.
John 4:24. Okay.
Right. And the A is assumed. That's not actually there either.
God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in
That's
the
it.
spirit and in
So
truth.
it actually reads theos pneuma. There is no word is. There is no word a. It reads literally God spirit.
Well, lumos, theos lumos, that's God's light, right?
Yes, it would be. That theos lumos would be God light. As in
His
God light
worshippers.
to the mind, not physical light like you can see stuff with it.
Which so this doesn't have A in it. The one I'm looking at, I've got the NIV pulled up. Are you looking at KJV?
No, I'm looking at the Greek.
Greek, okay. Oh well, yeah. I hear that when you say Theos Lumos or
The
yeah,
theos pneuma.
Luma
Pneuma
Numa. Okay.
as in breath. As in to
I don't speak
inspire
Greek.
and expire. It means the thing that is life, spirit, breathing. Like the
I
word
do know
inspiration
the root
means to
loom is
breathe
life.
in someone else's breath. That's what inspiration means, to breathe their breath.
The root is loom for bright, which is why we have
So-
lumens to measure
Illumination.
brightness.
Yeah. So God's light, which is interpreted in the NIV as God is spirit. So I don't know. I guess that just goes to show how
It's bad.
they take liberties with some of the text.
I use the
It's
King
like
James, but
figurative
I just
language
use it as a
today.
glossary. I don't think you should depend on the King James or any of the new modern translations at all. It's only good as a glossary. Don't think that's what the thing says. It's not.
So, but I mean, we're talking narratives, though. There's narratives in there with individuals and their lives and the way that they lived and
You
experienced.
can
things.
understand why we, as humans existing with people who do interpret these books the way that you don't,
Yeah.
can be problematic and troublesome.
Yes, because you heard it your whole dang life. I said you were bombarded with Christianity. I meant it.
Well, I haven't, but
And that's not any fault of your own. Not at all.
no, the fact that I live in the same state as Mike Pence,
Says it all right there. You don't even say.
everything about me says obviously. Well,
I don't
actually,
need to finish the sentence, right?
because this flag is the Indiana state flag, it is a hint.
Okay, fair enough.
I know it looks like the Gotham City flag.
Look,
That's-
like you got the King James onlyist Christians, and they go, "Oh, the only
I grew
accurate
up United
translation
Methodist.
ever
We did
is
not touch
King
the
James."
Bible.
That is an extremely flawed idea because the King James is based in something else. It wasn't a direct revelation of God to write the King James. That did not happen. And what it is based in is like the Greek lexicon, what are the other two? Anyway, so it's based in these older texts that are much more confirmed than anything like the King James.
Hey, Richard, about John 4:24, is the second mention of the word spirit, is that the lumos too?
Hold on a second. Theos pneuma kai ho proskneo altos de proskneo and pneuma. Yeah, it says pneuma. Yep.
So, in your interpretation of that, light Got it. It's spirit. It's spirit in the NIV. Imagine KJV probably has it the same.
Well,
can
certainly
pull it
the
up and
idea of
look.
spirit is talking about enlightenment of the mind, not you breathing.
I think I think you've gone the wrong way on that. The word is actually light, and then we've interpolated these other meanings that to use based upon contemporary.
Because visually, we see like spirit as light, like you were talking about with powder earlier, that to be a stand-in for spirit. That I don't think spirits personally. I don't think spirits are a real thing at all. But the way that, yeah, I'm getting you pulled up here. Okay.
Okay, Artemis, here you go. Since you want to challenge it, this is John 4:24. You see that God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. And you want to claim that this word spirit here should be light. I'm going to hit the word tools, right? It's going to bring up, what is this? The Textus Receptus.
Wow, from the same website, you used a glossary that defined the word the way they used it? That is shocking.
So, what is the debate here?
The Greek, right? And then if I go down to pneuma, that's Greek.
If you would like to edify me, can we admit that the word is light and it gets used as a euphemism or a metaphor for?
It means enlightenment. It doesn't mean physical light like what the sun means.
Word for knowledge.
Is that not a word used for physical light? I think it is. I think it is.
You can use it to mean physical light, but it's not being used literally here, I think.
Right. So it might be metaphorical, which was my point.
And if I go to G4151, I'm sorry, 4154, is it going to say light? Go down to the actual definition here.
Or will it be self?
No, it does not. It means breath.
That's so weird. They used it the same way on the same site twice.
Well, wait a second. So, is it breath? Is it spirit? Is it light? Is it enlightenment?
It's pneuma, like pneumatics, where we get the word. Oh my gosh! All the medical terms that start with the word PNEU.
Yeah, air.
Yeah,
it means breathing.
It means air.
Right.
Not breathing, it means air.
A blast of air.
Pneumatics is the movement of air.
Because you can force a blast of air out of your lungs. It's the same thing. It means air movement, breathing, spirit.
So God is air, and his worshippers must worship in the air and in truth. Just rereading the verse.
Right, but it's being spoken colloquially. It doesn't mean literal physical air either.
How do we know which?
That's why we used the word the way we just did.
Because of the word inspiration.
Well,
there's a great example of it where it's talking about breathing as if breathing like causes the brain to do things.
Breathing light.
I'm interpreting that this is
like
the
breathing
same
light. That's pretty good, actually.
That this is the same interpretation or the same word that we see in Genesis when Yahweh breathes life into Adam, right? Same word, same pneuma.
Let's look it up.
Pneuma. What is that? Genesis.
Hold on, I'll bring it up for you. It's no problem.
Oh, okay, you got it right there. All right,
yeah, sure.
I'll wait for you.
We're already sharing screen. Why not? The creation in the beginning.
I'm giving the two of you like a 2-minute warning here. Artemis has been trying to keep up, and he's fairly well intoxicated at this point, so probably going to be begging out before the end of this conversation. I just don't want either of you to feel like the time that I choose to actually beg out is in any way related to what either of you has just said.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm probably going to be going to wrap this up here in about 15 minutes anyway. So,
okay, for you and my love for you, I will stick out 15 minutes.
All right, let's.
But if I start to drool just a little bit, tell me. Just Say, Artie.
I'm just gonna laugh. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna hold it in.
Yeah, I know that about you. I wasn't even talking to you.
So Ruach to blow, breathe. Okay.
Okay.
so-
Obviously,
no?
it's not a Greek word. It's a Hebrew word, right? But does it
Ruach,
have the
okay.
same meaning? Here you go.
Free.
Here's the root word. So it's a proper primitive root, like the most
you've
original
moved-
word, not a
So this is-
derivation of. If I don't say this, it's not going to make any sense.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is the root word, right? And then the derivative word, ruach, right? Never mind the usages. That doesn't really matter. Here you go.
All right. So wind
Something-
by resemblance,
Whole
breath.
movement of atmosphere.
Okay. And this is the
Okay.
word that is translated when we move it to the Greek into pneuma.
Yeah.
Right? That ruach becomes pneuma when you translate the Hebrew to the Greek.
Right.
Okay. So God is let's fill in the blanks with this verse. So we're talking John 4:24. God is breath. God is wind.
Yes.
By resemblance, God is by resemblance spirit.
Right.
Okay. God is air. God is anger. God is blast. God is breath. I don't know what we have here going on with courage and mind there. God is mind. That's more like what the direction Richard was going with his interpretation, that God is the inspirational mind behind the actions of the Elohim, the instructions. God is the instructions. He's the mind that it gives them their directive.
That's
okay,
accurate.
so, but God is not an entity. God is not.
So generous.
But God is a being.
It is generous, yeah.
Absolutely generous.
The Elohim are not human, but they are what humans were based on, and we have.
By
Elohim.
happenstance, it's the next word.
Okay, Elohim is the next word.
Yes, it is. Now here's the singular, Eloach, right? An emphatic form of 410. I happen to know that 410 is El,
Mhm.
right? Meaning
Okay.
like powerful, right? Godlike, something like
But
that.
El was also used as
It's just
like
a general
title.
term. There is no God named El. That's a general term used. It's the way it's being used here.
I don't
Okay, so
feel
you have
like
the Hebrew singular Eloach, right, which means a prolonged form or emphatic of 410, a deity or the deity, a God, right? Also
Okay.
same as 430. Then you have the plural form Elohim, which is gods.
Right. Okay. So Elohim
So when
is
Christians
plural.
say that Elohim is the name of their monotheistic God, they're insane.
I don't know if they'll say El and Yahweh. And I know you rejected the term El Yahweh. I don't think I've ever heard a Christian say Elohim was an individual. Though that's a plural word, right?
Well, they say they're monotheistic, right? And his name is Elohim, right? That's the same thing as saying Elohim means a singular monotheistic God. It does not.
Would they take refuge in the Trinity? I guess when it comes to that, huh?
Of course, they're going to. Yes.
Yeah. But we all know the innate problems with the Trinity, especially when you're interpreting the Old Testament, because the Old Testament, as far as I can tell, in no version of it is there any indication of a Trinity.
No.
Maybe
The Jews would
maybe
never agree to that, and they actually know the language.
right. There are maybe the characteristics, but definitely not not as individuals, right? So I think we should probably start wrapping up here. I'm getting tired and I still haven't eaten tonight.
good
Thank you
timing.
guys for coming and hanging out with me, because
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'll wait till.
Oh my
Ari
gosh, he
gets
fell out
back.
of his chair. Is he okay? Oh, there he is.
Do you have anything coming up here in the next couple of weeks there, Richard?
Well, I'm doing the regular Math Pig show on Tuesdays over at Math Pig, right? And then Wednesdays, and again, tomorrow is a Wednesday, where we try to get a lovely insomniac together with a reluctant Christian and myself, and I let them ask anything religiously related that they want, anything from any religion, anywhere, and we just talk about it in the moment. Whatever they say, that's what we talk about.
It's called Questions from Sleepwalkers.
No, that was close. It's called bigzebra.com, which is an actual .com, and it's a comedy thing. Please check out bigzebra.com. Steve's a great guy. He's brilliant. He's super weird. I love him. And Mac the Human, so bigzebra.com and Mac the Human and Richard meet in Eden. And that, of course, is on my channel.
And I've watched a few.
It's impressive that I got that close, I think.
Oh, yeah. Wow. You probably prayed about it.
If you liked, if you liked watching me and Artie and before we left, Robbie picking on Richard and picking his brain about his religious beliefs and whatnot, you'll like going over to Richard's and seeing him and Mac and Big Zebra
guy.
hanging out. Yeah, they have
you don't
fun
need
like
to
we do.
be a dick to Richard in order to express that you disagree. He's fairly comfortable with the idea.
But it is fun.
You do. So, yeah, my failure as a channel is absolutely derived from the fact that I never once got a single hater as a creator. I never once had anybody just treat me like
What's wrong with
shit.
you?
So I know that when I stopped, it was appropriate because I couldn't even make an angsty teenager mad at me.
I had somebody put my picture up while they talked about executing trans people.
See, now that's how you know you've made it. When you get a direct,
Yes.
dedicated troll stream.
You are clearly better than me. You have achieved what I was incapable of.
Death threats, yeah. it's
Yeah, when you get the death threats, that's how you know you made it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Luckily, they didn't have any of the other information about me right, but so I don't incompetent death threats, but death threats nonetheless.
Right, that's the
I
kind you
hope
want.
you appreciate
Yeah.
that my enthusiasm for the fact that you've getting death threats is entirely sarcastic.
Yes, I that was inferred. Yes.
Really not
But,
trying to imply that there is any reason for anybody to do any of that shit to anybody ever, but
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
still shows that you became popular enough to become known,
yeah,
and
truth is,
somebody's
I'm jealous.
gonna hate you.
yeah,
That's
I'm
true.
jealous. You have haters. I could even the dickhead pastor that I made my first 2 videos on. I swear to God, if you go to those videos, he comments and he thanks me for being so considerate of his positions. Are you fucking kidding me? Can't even piss
I'm
off.
thinking about starting another YouTube channel just to troll myself so I can look like I'm that popular, Bree.
See, I'm willing to grow this out just to achieve that for you.
Oh
Sweet.
yeah. There you go.
I think from here up we look enough alike.
You might be able to trick some people, maybe.
You might have to start wearing a hat, but I think from here up, well,
Wow, I never noticed how wide your nose is.
yeah.
In
oh,
fact,
yeah.
your temples are really wide too.
Oh yeah, I got a
I'm
huge
tall-
head.
I'm
German
like
as
skinny.
fuck. I'm German from here and
Yeah.
Polish from here.
Okay.
I got a wide nose too, though. I didn't get a new nose.
Stop that. You do not.
Oh,
Do you have a deviated septum? Do you have a coke nostril?
not yet. I'm working on it.
Well, I'd rather you didn't, but
No, not really.
Yeah, no,
not at all.
I have a left side thing, so
But to get off topic
Freeze
again,
this
thank you
part
so
of my
much for the
brain.
show, Bree. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. You know, I do love your brains. Okay, I want attacked but on topic. So Artemis, next time if you could just keep your attack on topic, that would be awesome.
I felt like I targeted your leg pretty hard when I started pumping, but if you don't feel that way,
You missed. You
yeah,
totally missed.
I understand. Well,
I
I
didn't know whose
absolutely
leg it
understand
was.
missing. That's just a lack of control that I think we all share.
Well,
You humped a leg. I don't know whose leg though.
well, thank you guys again for coming on. Since I did enjoy doing this, I'll probably be doing more evening streams with people like these two that I have on here, and Robbie and Orge, who popped in for a minute. But
Orge was a disappointment. We spent whole moments together.
yeah, I love Orge. Orge, if you haven't subscribed, they got a channel out there where they do like dunking on like Mud Fossil University and stuff like that. Orge is a geologist.
Right. Yeah, I think I've met.
Like he's a real,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's why I was hoping Orge would have some more input on the Jupiter thing, but apparently that's not geology adjacent enough.
I want to spend at least 18 hours talking about where the fuck the bones went.
they didn't go anywhere.
Oh. All right, guys. Everybody, please remember to be kind and take care, and we will see you next time.